Hello, this is Movie Trailer Trash, and we just watched Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, featuring the albino avatar people.
That's right, baby. It's time for Movie Trailer Trash. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Movie Trailer Trash. We just watched the trailer for Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. My name's Charlie.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is a movie that I've been excited about ever since I saw the first trailer for it.
Okay.
Now, when I saw the first screenshots for it, and like the first, heard the name and saw the people in it and stuff like that, I was like, eh. And then when I watched the trailer for it, I was like, why does this look so interesting and awesome to me?
Yeah, I didn't see anything before the trailer. Like, I didn't see anything about it. So I just saw the trailer and took, and thought what I thought.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Okay, so it's starring who?
Well, that's Dane DeHaan. I know his name.
Okay.
I don't know the girl's name. She was only basically in Suicide Squad, I think.
Okay.
And something else.
Yeah, she was in Paper Towns, I believe.
Paper Towns. But I know that Dane DeHaan is good. He's awesome. Favorite role of his is in Chronicle. He's also been in a few other things. But that's by far my favorite, and I think the best thing that he's ever done. And this movie looks like a really interesting, unique, I guess, sci-fi movie. What?
Sorry. I was trying to find the girl's name. I tried typing in Valerian movie, and Vacation movie came up.
Will you put your phone down?
I got to know the girl's name.
Why?
Because it's driving me nuts.
God. Well, okay. Anyway, this movie looks amazing, and I don't really know why. And I think it's because it's by the same guy who did The Fifth Element, and he has a really unique and like kind of, it's cheesy in all of the right ways. So like the people, like it looks like they use a lot of puppets and stuff, but they CGI over them, but they use like actual things that the people are talking to. You can kind of tell in that, and it's kind of this weird, the music stuck out to me a lot. It being weird and cheesy in the right ways.
What was that main song? I was trying to figure out if it was one I knew. Like, I thought maybe it was a Beatles song, but like done differently, like a cover.
I don't remember.
Oh.
But I know it was interesting and creepy and kind of out there and weird.
The girl's name is Cara Delevingne.
Well, I'm glad that we got that figured out.
Well, it's important because I think if this movie is going to be bad, it'll be her fault.
How do you feel about her character's name being Laureline instead of Laurelyn? I mean, no, other way around. It's Laurelyn instead of Laureline.
Is Laureline a thing?
I think so.
Lorelai from
Oh,
Gilmore
maybe that's
Girls.
it.
Laurelyn, I don't know. It doesn't matter. His name's Valerian.
Well, yeah, but that's like a crazy space name. Or maybe it's a French name because this thing that this is based off of is a French comic book, graphic novel characters.
Okay.
These two, Valerian and Laureline. Damn it,
Laurelyn.
Who had the first adventure of theirs was published in 1967, and the last adventure was published in 2010. So,
and by adventure, you just mean comic book.
Well, it's like it started as a comic strip, and then it got its own comic book, and then it's got its own graphic novel. So it's like these characters have been around basically the same amount of time as any Marvel character ever.
But they're just French.
Right, they're French.
So,
it's a
nobody
French,
really knows about them except for maybe the French.
Yes, and some other people that I'll mention later on.
Okay.
But it's like this super old, like there's a million stories about them, and
so there's an expansive universe that they could obviously go into. I mean, there's a city of 1,000 planets.
Yeah. And so, I mean, normally we do like a little kind of breakdown of the story, but it seems to just be like these two quote unquote agents have to save the world.
Save the city of 1,000 planets.
Right. Or, the galaxy that it lives in. And that's basically all you get.
Well, the concept is that the albino avatar, they tell them, hey, this city has 1,000 planets in it. And all of us and all of our different species have shared our knowledge for however many years
It's the library of the
years,
universe.
and we've just lived in peace, and we've known everything, and it's been great. And some darkness wants to destroy it, but we don't know what. And so the Avatar, the albino Avatar, sends them to go and save the world. But I don't know why they would choose just 2 people. That's one thing that I've noticed in movies that seems kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is like, why just 2? I mean, why not send like several different groups out on a mission? That way some of them are expendable. Like, if you don't make it, somebody else will. I'm just saying it's
maybe they
a
do,
pretty big
and you don't
feat.
know it.
Maybe.
You know, you're just from the point of view of these 2. Maybe they're sending other people out.
It sounds like they're like, you 2 are all are
because it sounds like they give them
our
oh boy okay. It sounds like they give them a team, you know, or it looks like anyway, because there's ships coming down to pick them up from peril, and there's, you know, they have like people in their ear and stuff too, and
it looks like they, you know, they do their own thing. He's like, I don't work alone. I work with this girl, and they do their own thing, and they're into danger and, you know, barely escaping. I will say this: that guy, the main guy, is a great actor.
Yes.
However, I don't feel he's had a lot of great opportunities to show that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of him, and I want to see more of him being awesome. So I don't know if this will be the movie to do that, but yeah, for those of you who haven't seen Chronicle,
well, what I like,
we're a bit of fanboys over here.
The reason he's so good in Chronicle is because he's a really good, like, creepy guy.
Well, also though, because he's really good at playing an awkward guy, and I know like some people get tired about like of that kind of character with Jesse Eisenberg and others. Yeah. They get tired of that, but it's not easy. Like, there's a reason that Jesse Eisenberg keeps getting those awkward roles, because it's not an easy role to play. But and this kid was really good at that.
In
playing, like,
this
shy,
movie,
awkward,
I like both of the
creepy
casting choices for this, because they're like 2 like skinny, weird looking people. Like, that girl is like, she's a pretty girl, but she's also strange looking. She's got like the big eyebrows. Yeah, the big dark eyebrows, and she's really skinny.
That's her signature thing.
And
they're really pale. Both of them are really pale and skinny and short.
And so it's kind of interesting, and you can tell that
they don't look like action stars necessarily.
They look French.
Sure.
Like if they
well, her last name is Delavigne.
Because this thing that is so French, and I believe that this director is French also. Mm-hmm. He also made Leon the Professional.
Okay, and The Fifth Element, the director?
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that he's kind of, you know, keeping the feel of the Frenchness, I guess. Like,
sure.
My dad always used to talk about how you could always tell when a cartoon was French, like just by the way that it was drawn. It was like, it had certain qualities about it. It was like soft, and there were pastel colors, and everyone had really small feet. That was part of it. and it's just like,
every culture has their different little quirks.
Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting. It's cool. For that reason, I think that this movie's going to do really well, if it's good, overseas.
Definitely.
In Europe.
Yeah. Well, especially because well, I mean, I guess maybe you looked up some stuff about this, but if there are fans of it, most likely they're European and not American.
Yeah.
Except for American people who like to fanboy out over non-American culture.
Well, let me talk about that, because apparently this comic book, graphic novel, blah, 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 characters have had like a huge influence on sci-fi filmmakers.
Okay.
And like there's a bunch of like parallels and imagery and stuff that are taken that are compared to this, that were inspiration from this, but I wanted to point a few out that are specifically Star Wars based.
Okay.
Just because I found it interesting and I thought it was a cool entry, and it was like, I read it somewhere, I don't remember where it was, but there's a lot of people that compare these 2 characters, that Luke and Leia was taken from these 2 characters' personalities.
Luke and Leia,
yeah.
or Han and Leia?
Luke and Leia.
Okay.
So, like, the guy is kind of supposed to be, when it was first made, like your typical hero guy. You know, he's like a tall, blonde hair, white, muscular guy who just kind of
and they just totally went away from that.
Right,
with this
exactly.
guy.
And I think that it probably evolved over time, the character.
Yeah.
And then the girl is like this feisty action, you know, like shoot first, ask later type of person. And so like a lot of people compared that to that. You probably were able to tell, and you could probably tell now by thinking about it, a lot of people say that the Millennium Falcon
Yeah.
was basically just straight up taken from that.
Yeah, when they were showing things flying around, I was like, this looks a lot like Star Wars.
Especially
it looks
their
like
ship.
Star Wars if the universe of Star Wars was set in the universe of The Fifth Element.
Right, yeah.
Like if everything flew the same way in Star Wars, but the cities and stuff looked like The Fifth Element and the creatures.
And there was and so like there were those few things. The Millennium Falcon is a big one. He probably did just take that from it without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And
possibly.
There's a part in one of the comic books where Valerian gets like enslaved in liquid something or whatever, and it looks exactly like Han Solo being frozen in carbonite.
And those were before the movies came out? Because I know you said they started in the 60s.
They started in the 60s.
Star Wars is pretty old too.
I believe that they were out before.
Okay. Interesting.
And then the one of the other ones is, so even though this is a bad part of Star Wars,
wait, what? Are you going to talk about 1, 2, and 3? Go ahead.
Yeah, 2.
All right, go ahead. I almost
Valerian,
freaked out on you, but then, yeah.
There's a clone army.
Okay.
And it's based off of one person, and it's, all whatever and everything.
So that's pretty straight up.
So there's that. When they
Stolen.
They interviewed the guy who wrote these after he saw Star Wars for the first time, because apparently he was like invited to come and stuff. And he said he was dazzled, jealous, and furious.
So it's like it was really good, but also, hey, some of that was my idea.
Because like it's one of those things where like he realized, and it was it was a long time ago, so copyright and stuff was a little bit different, but it was one of those things where like he probably was watching it and like he could only Steven Spielberg could make that happen.
Yeah,
at that time. Like that was the only person that could do that.
He was like, I couldn't have done this right now, but damn you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Him and George Lucas together were the only people that could have made that thing look the way that it did. And so I thought that was like super interesting, and it made me really want to read all of it. Like every single thing that has ever been made.
Well, and you like comic books, and you actually really like space stuff, I've noticed, which is interesting. Did
it's
you
a new
always
development.
like that? Yeah,
No,
I was going to say. I mean, obviously you always liked Star Wars because come on. But you've also always said that you prefer Indiana Jones trilogy to the original Star Wars trilogy, which blows my mind.
Yeah, it's
in the worst possible way.
It's a
like
first love type situation.
I suppose.
And there's people who feel that way out there, but it's like a I had the hat when I was a little kid. I pretended to be him.
But also part of why you say that, and you've said this before, is because you prefer like action heroes on Earth to space. And sci-fi. You never really grew up with that, whereas I grew up watching Star Trek every single week with my family. It was like family time, Star Trek The Next Generation is on, and we watched Star Wars every summer when it was on TV with all of the commercials, and it took forever, but we watched all that. We were super into it. So for me, I mean, I like all that stuff, but you had not seen The Fifth Element until I came into your life.
That's true.
And blessed you with it.
Oh, blessed me with The Fifth Element.
Yeah. But it's interesting because now it seems like you're kind of really into this stuff.
Yeah.
Like you like Star Wars and you like the Clone Wars, which I think is very like comic book.
Oh yeah, the show.
Like you like stories, you like comic books, actual comic books, and like that TV series where they have to pop out so many stories that like to me they can't all be good. Like, you have too much content you're trying to pop out, but you enjoy that because you enjoy just having a lot of the story. And I would rather just watch the movies where they spend a ton of time on them and make them really good.
I think it's very similar to...
and Firefly.
Firefly.
Sorry, I was going to say, that's...
Firefly...
I think that's what really, really changed it for you.
Is the best thing that you've ever shown me.
I think that's probably true.
And I had no idea that it existed before at all.
And I think that's really why you started liking sci-fi stuff more, because that was more story based.
Because it's a Western.
Like you want a good sci-fi, you want it to rely on the story and the characters and not just on the fact that look, we're in space.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
There's aliens.
Is that because I came to sci-fi stuff later and horror, I was gonna compare it to.
Okay.
Like horror movies, is that I like those genres, but I only like them
when they're really good.
when they're really good.
Well, and that's a problem too. I think a lot of people who aren't into sci-fi think of the Sci-Fi Channel, and that's a channel that like is 24/7. Like it's on all the time. They have to fill it with stuff. So it's kind of like I was saying, when you have to fill it with content, you're just going to have crappy content sometimes. And cheesy looking and cheaply made stuff, because TV shows don't have the budget to make it look good.
Right. Although I heard the new Star Trek looks good.
Well, I would hope, because Star Trek is such a popular series and has been so popular for so long that they should have money.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
they should
movie
throw money
quality.
at it. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I
Yeah.
wonder if that'll be good. But yeah, so I'm proud of you for liking
thank you.
sci-fi. And you also got the comic books for a couple of the Firefly
I have a few of those.
comic books also, and
I
you
wanna
are
get that
interested in
one,
these comic books, right?
It's called, I want them.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy
so-
them. They're being
Wow.
released all like together.
How much are they?
Oh, so expensive.
Okay,
Hundreds and hundreds
okay.
of dollars. There also is one called Saga that I really want to
Okay,
read.
a different
it's like
series.
it's more of like a fantasy sci-fi type thing.
Okay.
It's the guy with the horns growing out of his head
Oh,
and
yeah.
the girl with
You've
the
shown me
bat
that.
wings. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get that this is kind of neat that it's coming from a comic book, because obviously comic book movies are doing well right now for the most part, but we're just in the superhero side of it. So now we're going to take another comic book and try and make it into something interesting. And yeah, I think it could be good.
Two more things about it.
Okay.
One is that I was thinking this, and you probably think completely otherwise just because you don't want to see another one of these, but I think that they're trying to shove multiple movies into one movie.
Okay.
Like, I feel like this is a perfect Star Wars type saga that could be told over 3 movies, where it's
Yeah.
actually a,
like one story
a
over
whole
3
story
movies.
instead of blah, blah, blah.
What did you say? You confused me. You said I don't want to see another one of these? You mean this
Another
movie?
trilogy.
Oh, just another trilogy in general.
Right.
I mean, if it's good, it's good. I just want things to be good. That's all I want. I see what you're saying.
They're probably nervous about it, is my guess.
Absolutely. Because it, that you don't want to put a ton of money into one movie that won't be finished until the next movie, because then if it flops, they won't give you the money for the next movie and you never got to tell your story.
Right.
But
And it just ends on a weird cliffhanger.
I do think that not enough studios are willing to take a chance on interesting trilogies with, like,
Take a
Star
chance
Wars?
on me.
The thing that I find really amazing about the first 3 Star Wars movies is that the first movie, whenever it ends, I'm always like, wait, that's it?
Yeah.
Every time, because I forget first of all, how short it feels. It's not even that short. It just feels short because everything is just going, the story goes so fast. And then also, it kind of ends like on a triumphant note, but it's not
But
like...
not really. It's not
it's
over.
like, wait, so that's it? Like, what's next? It makes you want to know what's next. And then...
the battle has been won, but not the war.
And the way that the second one ends also, you're like... I have trouble deciphering between the 3. Like, if you were to tell me
Right, yeah, I
what
do
is
all
the
the time.
end of the second one, where does it exactly end, I would not be able to tell you, because it's all one movie in my mind, even though they came out separately. And I think that, you have things like The Hobbit, where they try and stretch one story into 3.
Right.
And then you have other things like this, where they try and stretch, potentially 3 stories, or squish 3 stories into 1.
There's varying degrees of stretching and squishing.
And I think that the stretching and squishing is usually pressure from studios who are worried about, making money. And that sucks.
Well, and you know what
I
I
wish
really
they could
want to
just let
see,
the story lead the movies.
which is, I've only seen it once or twice, is a 2-movie series.
Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Yeah, I love that.
However, recently, friends and I were talking about that. Like, do you think he'll make a third one? And they were saying he always says that he will, but he wants to wait until the young girl is old enough.
Oh yeah, it's a
I'm like, does she even act anymore? We looked it up. No. She's like a CNA or something. Like, she's a nursing assistant.
she's been living in
She's
Quentin
like-
Tarantino's house for the last however
No,
many
she's
years.
like 20 years old, and she's like a nursing assistant. And the only reason I know that is because my friend dug way too deep. She was like, I gotta find out what this girl is doing now.
Wait, yeah. Why do you know her job?
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
thinking about
'Cause
other
she,
stuff
like,
while you were
posted
talking
on
about
social media and was like, look, I just got my degree.
That's weird. I don't like that.
Yeah, I know. Well, some people are good researchers, is all I have to say.
That's a good point.
Nonetheless, that's amazing. Are there any others you can think of off the top of your head that are just twofers?
I mean, there's one that should have been
Okay.
The Godfather.
Okay. Fair enough. I have not seen those.
1 and 2. and then because like the third one was made way later and it had Andy Garcia and it was no good.
The Matrix 1 and 2 could have stopped there.
Right.
Probably could have stopped at 1.
Probably.
But you know what? I had fun during all of them. All right. So do you want to talk about where we want to see this movie and maybe when and how?
I want to.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Where? When?
How? Are you gonna see this movie? Where, when, and how you're gonna see this movie? All right. So I know that you aren't as excited about this as I am.
No.
But I also want you to know that I do think it's just as likely to be a flop as it is to be amazing.
Okay. So you're not necessarily 100% sold on that it's going to be good. You just like the idea.
Right. I just love
and
how
if they can execute it well, it would be good.
I love how weird and cheesy it is.
That is one thing I do like about this is that it looks cheesy like The Fifth Element, but yet you can tell they used better technology and stuff.
Yeah, it's just like it's hard to come up with the words for it. Yeah.
I want things like if things are going to be cheesy, make it cheesy on purpose.
Right.
For fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think?
Well, I want to see it in the theater. I think
Fair enough.
that it would be a big deal. You want to see all that big giant 1,000-planet.
Yeah, if you got 1,000
stuff.
planets on one screen and it's, like a small screen,
my
that might not work.
40-inch TV can't hold 1,000 planets.
Okay, so you want to see it in
So
theater?
I want to see it in theater, and I don't really care when. And actually, I would
enough.
like to see it later in its run, like maybe the weekend after it opens.
Okay. Cool. I would totally be okay waiting for it to come out on Netflix because I'm not like super excited about it. However, I want to give it a chance because, I like kind of new sci-fi stories.
And the thing is that it's coming out in July.
Okay.
So there's going to be a ton of stuff that's going to be out at the same time.
So like
I
chances
still
are
want
we
to
might
see
be
it,
busy.
though.
Well, here's the thing.
Doing laundry, maybe.
No. That's a throwback to our last episode.
Throwback. Callback.
We might have something to do. But no, the thing is, I wouldn't care if we missed it in theater, but I understand that if you're going to see it, it probably would be best on a big screen.
Yeah.
However, my brother and my brother-in-law have pretty big screens. So, I mean, if I had to, I could go over there.
Maybe they'll have the projector up by then.
Yeah. But let's say we do see it in theater. If we were going to see it in theater, I would want to do it maybe like 4 weekends after it comes out. It's no longer in most theaters. It's
4
only
weekends?
Mm-hmm, just go with this. I'm going with it, okay? You know how sometimes like you want to see a movie, but you waited too long and you're like, crap, it's not in any of the theaters. You start looking. It's not in Alamo. It's not at AMC. And then you're like, wait a second, a little tiny theater is showing it. Or wait a second, a theater way out in Blue Springs is showing it. It's like
no one's going to know what that means.
Kansas Cityans might. The point is, in a suburb, a theater way out in a suburb is showing it. But it's the only one, and it's only showing it at 5 on a Saturday, right? That's when I want to see it.
You want to be a mad dash.
Yeah, no, I want to just be like the last people to see it.
The last people to see it in the theater.
We're like,
that's kind of what we did with Doctor Strange.
And I like that.
And actually, you know what?
Sometimes
kind of similar.
Nice.
Kind of similar feel.
Except that
here.
Doctor Strange was really good. And I don't know if this can match that. But, I mean, this is totally different.
Everyone liked Doctor
totally
Strange more than
Doctor
I did.
Strange. Yeah, but you know what? Go back and see it again. It's kind of like Civil War. I think your hopes were built up too high. And that's how I was with Civil War. Like
I still don't even have Civil War ranked very high.
But here's the thing. I could have never had higher hopes for any movie than I did Civil War.
Yeah.
I said in our episode, this may be the best movie I've ever seen ever.
Oh, wow.
I was super excited about it. And then I was like disappointed. But you made me watch it again. And I was like, oh, wow, that wasn't nearly as bad as I remember.
Uh-huh.
Still wasn't as good as I had hoped, but that's what happens when you get your hopes up.
Well, yeah, it definitely wasn't bad.
Point is, don't get your hopes up and you'll never be disappointed.
Don't listen to that. That's no way to live.
No, yeah, I like to get excited about movies.
Speaking of getting excited, let's move on to Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
All right.
Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
I'll go first. Okay, so sometimes when I say that, you try and beat me to it. Rotten Tomatoes, critics. I'm going to say that the critics are going to give this movie 64%.
Oof.
And I think the audience, now this is a tough one for me. I think the audience will give it 70%. They'll like it more than the critics. Maybe.
Huh.
Actually,
Well,
the critics might like it more than the audience.
I'm going to go kind of opposite. I'm going to go, because I'm going to be optimistic about this movie.
Okay.
And I'm going to say 83%.
That's insane.
No.
Yeah. No, that's insane.
No, it's not.
Look, based on the
Think
just
about
the
Fifth
trailer,
Element.
based on
Think
the
about
trailer
how Fifth
alone,
Element looked
Okay.
in its trailer.
But based on the trailer alone, it looks like a 64% movie. But here's the thing, I want it to be good, obviously. Well, hang on, what audience score are you going to give?
I was going to give it a 73.
Okay.
Audience.
Good enough. Okay, so here's my thing. Got a couple things to say. I like The Fifth Element. However, going back and watching it, it's a lot cheesier than I remember when I watched it with you.
Mm-hmm.
The funny parts didn't land as well for me as I got older.
Like Chris Tucker screaming.
Yeah, I mean, he's still funny, but I was like, wow, the timing wasn't as good as I remembered. Maybe we were watching it too quiet. Sometimes you got to have comedy loud.
I did that the first time I watched The Kingsman, and
Yeah,
it was a bad
you gotta have
idea.
it loud. But nonetheless, I like The Fifth Element, but I don't know if I would have given it 80%, even in its heyday.
I actually don't know what it has.
Actually, it probably would be an 80%, like a solid 80%.
Yeah.
Not much more than that.
But here's the thing. This
It
has
was Bruce Willis.
so much story and character development and imagery and everything already built into it before they even started writing the movie that
It's got a good base.
that it's just like the Marvel movies where you basically have someone decide how they want to visually, represent it and cast it.
Exists.
And then everything else is already built into such an extent that it basically is going to be good unless you really screw it up.
Sure. I had a question about The Fifth Element for you that I forget. Oh, one thing I wanted to compare this a little bit to The Fifth Element. The writer, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you know who wrote it?
Who wrote The Fifth Element or this one?
The screenplay.
Oh, it's both. He's the director and the writer.
Okay, so great. So
everything.
that helps. Okay, that gives me hope because I think The Fifth Element was really well written and a really interesting story, the way that it played out. So, I mean, that helps. One thing that I noticed that was super similar is in The Fifth Element, they have that opera singer, the blue, like, alien lady, and she sings this really crazy, like, opera / like, hip-hop mix, and it's awesome.
Weird.
It's awesome and weird, and she goes really high, and it's cool. And it's just like this whole scene where other stuff is happening, but they're showing this opera singer, and it's kind of cool how it, like, as the music is becoming more climactic, other things are happening around it, and it's crazy. Well, I think that scene with Rihanna that was in this trailer, I think it's going to be super similar. Not necessarily the singing, but the idea that there's going to be some type of performance going on while other action is
really?
happening.
I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought she's going to be like a Huggy Bear type character.
Huggy what?
Huggy Bear?
Is that something I should understand, that reference?
I think it's from Starsky and Hutch.
Okay, so no, I wouldn't understand
And
that.
I think that, and he's like an informant.
Perhaps, but I mean, it was very stylistically similar when they showed her up on. She was clearly on some sort of stage.
Yeah,
right?
she does like a quick change routine.
She was doing a quick change. Yeah, it was hilarious. It's like featuring. I should have said that at the beginning. We watched Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets featuring Rihanna with a quick change routine.
And her quick change routine.
But so that was interesting. I like that.
There he is. That's Huggy Bear.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never
He's an
seen
informant for Starsky and Hutch.
But yeah, so sorry guys, Charlie was just showing me a photo. Charlie, they can't see your photos. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not saying that it's going to be terrible. I just think that it's a good idea that won't be as big of a deal as The Fifth Element was.
But yeah, it's equally likely to get either of these scores and also maybe even lower.
Sure, and if it gets 80-something%, then it'll blow me away because I'm not expecting that.
Because if this was really good and if Guardians of the Galaxy hadn't come out and been so amazing in its own hilarious way, that people would have like freaked out about this and this would have been the new sci-fi thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's one problem is it is coming out in a time where we just rebooted Star Wars and we had Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, in fact, they say we need you guys to be the guardians of our universe or something like that.
Of something. I think of our
people or whatever. But she's
future.
like, oh yeah, she's like, we need you two to be the guardians. And in my head, I was like, of the galaxy.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
So, you know, it's kind of got that going against it, that there's so many popular sci-fi things out right now. So it's got a lot to compete with, and everybody is going to be comparing it to things like that. So that's the one thing I'm worried about. But I do think even if it gets the 64% I think it's going to get, I still want to see it. Like, I think it'll be a fun movie that gets 64%. I think, yeah. It's like you said, it goes with the cheesy, like, old school space feel, and I like that. And the only thing I'm worried about is that girl. I don't know if she's a very good actress. Her face kind of bothers me. She's always pouty. Also, like, isn't she
was
just a
smiling the whole
model?
time in this.
No, she was not. I was watching her pout the whole time. I didn't see her smile. Look,
Maybe.
the thing is, isn't she a model? Like, she's not
So
really
is
an
Gal
actress,
Gadot.
right? Yeah, but let's not go comparing Cara Delevingne to Gal Gadot.
Why?
Because just, you know.
Both of them have only
Look at
have
her.
movie credits
Just
in the
look at
DC
her.
universe.
Hey, what?
As of right now.
What's Cara Delevingne in the DC universe?
Suicide Squad.
Oh, she's in that? See, I didn't see that. But she's also in Paper Towns.
I think she's in Suicide Squad. Let's go to the phones.
Look, I just remember, I mean, I saw her in that day where she was doing, she's kind of famous. She went viral a little bit when she was doing interviews all day. She was at one of those things where you just sit in the same room and a bunch of different people ask you questions all day. And she was just not having it. And somebody was like, why don't you smile or something like that, which is a rude thing to say. But she just basically was a biatch.
Biatch?
To everyone. She was just not having it and was being really rude. And it's like, look, like, we're trying to help you promote your movie. And I know you're tired, but don't gotta be rude.
She's the bad guy in Suicide Squad.
Oh, spoiler.
No
Nobody
one-
wants to see that.
No one's going to see that.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. It's up in the air. That's one thing I will say that this has going against it also is The Fifth Element had Bruce
Almighty.
Willis
Oh, yeah.
in his heyday too. Like when Bruce Willis was a huge star.
Before he was completely bald.
Yeah, so it had Bruce Willis when he was a huge
Way back
star.
in his
And
Hudson
he's
Hawk
still-
days.
He obviously still is a huge star, but you know what I mean, like in his prime. And
That's a terrible
this
movie.
has two relatively younger unknown actors. So
Yeah.
they're going to have to really bring it, and that won't necessarily get people to the theater like Bruce Willis would.
But it also
It doesn't have anybody like Bruce Willis.
It also is good because of what I said to you earlier, where it's kind of like a weird thing that, like,
it looks more French.
a weird
It's
thing
not
they're
all
going
Hollywoodized.
for. And also the fact that probably means that either this director or whoever, and he's the writer, so probably him, gets to make whatever casting decisions he wants.
Yeah, and hopefully he
'Cause
just
he
chose
chose
them
these two
because they're the
people.
best.
And
You
he
know.
also chose Clive Owen, which is kind of weird.
Who's that?
He's a British actor. I can't
Who
really...
was he in the trailer?
He was like the guy that was giving them orders. He's like, you have 10 hours to
Okay.
find whoever, blah, blah, blah.
I clearly didn't memorize his face, but go on.
He's a good actor, but
Yeah.
he's not really been in anything at all recently. My favorite thing he's ever been in is Shoot 'Em Up, which is a really ridiculous action movie. And so it's like kind of like, you know, he just chose him because he likes him.
Yeah,
probably.
I hope that the reason he chose these people is just because they were the best actors for the role when they tried out. Because sometimes you just use a famous
Rihanna?
person just to get them. I mean, well, that was probably just for fun.
Oh, it's probably just because she knows how to quick change.
Yeah, they're like, wait, you know how to quick change? Well, actually, yeah, you can be in my movie.
Rude boy.
Who knew that of all the things she's ever done, quick change would get her into the movie world?
Who knew?
Although she was in a cartoon already. But
Oh, I will say this. This guy has also written some ridiculous action movies. Some of them good, some of them not good.
okay.
I know that you don't like The Transporter,
No.
but it's a very
That's
wild
on my list of worst movies ever.
action movie. And it's like it's silliness. It's kind of
Bottom of the barrel.
Fast and Fury-ish. He wrote Taken,
Ooh, I'll go with that.
and he wrote Columbiana, which is the Zoe Saldana
Heard good
revenge
things.
movie.
Heard good things.
I have only heard good things from multiple people.
I mean, Zoe Saldana, though. She won't let me down.
She won't.
She won't. All right, well, let's do a couple plugs and then we can get out of here. And so check us out at mttpodcast.com. Sorry, cat got my tongue for a second.
Yeah. Twitter.
Twitter.
I just caught thinking about Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. Twitter, you can talk to us at MTT Podcast. On Facebook, you can find us Movie Trailer Trash Podcast. And please like us and rate and review us there. We're kind of going to be putting behind the scenes stuff up and just a lot of cool stuff up there on Facebook. And of course, as always, subscribe on iTunes and rate and review. It helps us out a lot and it helps other people to find us.
Also, don't forget to follow Entertainment Buffet on Twitter at Entertainment Buffet, and also subscribe to their YouTube channel, Entertainment Buffet.
Yeah. And one last thing.
Go to
patreon.com, look up Movie Trailer Trash Podcast, and throw a couple quarters our way. Actually, 4, please.
Throw 2
4.
sets of a couple quarters in our trash can.
Yep. Do it.
See you guys. Bye.